Good morning, everyone. Welcome to our live trading room at Admiral Markets. So glad that you could join us on the 13th of August, Tuesday. Looking forward to this week, although it is August, so we have to be careful. August is always a good trading month, isn't it? So we're going to go through this PowerPoint quickly to explain what we're going to look for today, and then we'll head over to the charts. So, of course, as always, there is a disclaimer explaining that global financial markets and trading them is considered high risk and may not be suitable for all investors. Please seek the advice of an independent financial advisor for more information on that. And this webinar is for educational purposes only. So I thank you for your attention on that. So welcome once again to our live trading room hosted by Admiral Markets. My name is Chris Svorcik, and today we're going to take a look at swing trading. So I'm sorry if there's some intraday traders out there. We can maybe take a look quickly, but the main focus is swing trading. Tomorrow we'll take a look at all types of trading, and Thursday, for those of you who like it, intra-day trading. So we did this on purpose to give a bit more focus to the sessions. Otherwise, it was quite difficult to focus on one particular topic. Don't forget that we have educational webinars as well on yesterday, actually, with Trantala, and this Thursday as well. So we're going to take a look at trading my own money. We're going to take a look at especially breakout strategies. Make sure to follow Admiral Markets in the social media. And with that said, let's take a quick look at the Forex calendar to see what's going on. One second, folks. There it is. We have, pound, high impact news, 1 hour, 43 minutes from now. And we have German ZEW economic sentiment, and we have dollar core retail sales, but that's in the New York session. So let's move on to the charts. Personally, I'm looking at this dollar CAD. I think that the CAD has potential to weaken a bit. If you look at the current position, both the Euro CAD and the dollar CAD. So that's one of my most interesting opportunities, I think, today. I already have a pending order here on this dollar CAD weighting. Other things that I found interesting were the Euro odd, basically. As I said, the Euro CAD, dollar CAD, maybe the pound Swissy, the odd dollar, maybe the pound odd. And those were, I think, maybe the New Zealand dollar. I think those were the main ones for today. I'm not too keen on the Euro and pound at the moment, but I'll explain why in a second. But first I want to go through this dollar CAD with you here. Let me just check. Oh, sorry, I thought I had the pending order ready actually, but I noticed that I don't. I just need to, I forgot to do the last step here. 1 second. Pending order is above these tops, basically. And I'll tell you why I'm taking that in just a second. So pending order is basically what I have here. I'll just tell you quickly, but I think the reason why is more important. But I have a pending order above basically the 4-hour fractal here at 103.20-ish, just below it. And the stop loss below the low, 4-hour low. And basically I'm targeting the minus 272 target all the way up here at the blue line at 104.88. I just went a bit below 105. I don't want to be too precise there. A few pips I gladly let go. So it's about a 3-to-1 trade. As you can see, the risk to reward boxes as well showing that, right? So it's approximately, I think, what is the stop loss? A bit lower than 50, I think. 46, and the reward is actually 170. So that's actually more closer to, in fact, a 4-to-1, I would say. Or 3.5 to 1, a bit more than that, to be very precise. So that looks good to me, but I'll show you why I like that trade. Just a quick question here from Anish, or Anais. we only have London sessions together at Admiral Markets here. So that's the current program, at least. I mean, if you would want to have more, feel free to drop an email to customer service and let them know about that. Okay. But for all of you who do have interest in that, but at the moment it's London open on Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursdays. So let me get rid of these fibs, otherwise we won't see anything. Let me get rid of some of these lines here. I'll get rid of all of them. I'll put them back on later on. Dollar CAD. Let's see. We do have a resistance area right in here. Definitely want to be aware of, but that's way far. That's 106.50. That's kind of a whole 106, 107 zone is definitely a level that you want to be careful of. But otherwise, anything below that is definitely still not entering into major resistance. As you see, those levels are definitely key in the market there. With the dollar CAD, every time it moves up, it cannot break it except that huge peak we had there, of course. So that's something we want to be aware of. Otherwise, if you look, that was the week chart. Otherwise, if you look at the day chart, you can clearly see the uptrend angle here, for example. Or if you would connect to more recent bottoms, even something like this, for example, is possible. You know, there's nothing wrong with multiple trend lines on the chart. All right. And if we would connect the tops, you can see it's a pretty nice trend channel here as well. All right. So I'll leave that purple. I'll make this one, let's see, greenish. So you can see the uptrend channel, nice angle to it, right? Good angle. And the angle is good because it shows that the price is moving in a sustainable manner. If it would be too steep, it will be too aggressive, and a correction is likely. If it's too shallow, then there's no power. So this has a good harmony between time and price, which is very important for a trend. And you can see that the up moves here have a good angle. Price action is moving fast to the upside, aggressive to the upside here, and a bit shallower most of the time to the downside, although some of these down moves were pretty impulsive as well. That's how usually a trend works. An uptrend would have aggressive price action with an angle of 60–70%, shallow price action of about 20%, steep price action, and then again shallow price action. And the entire structure then becomes a trend channel with a 45-degree angle. But it's not that price moves at 45-degree angles. No, the channel moves at 45-degree angles. Price moves steeper and shallower, and the total sum becomes that angle. Okay. Now I'm not sure if that's new for some of you. It's difficult to for me to judge with you know, so many people in the room what you know and don't know. But you know, if you want more information on that, let me know. Otherwise, I just assume that that you know this stuff. There's some more things I can tell you about this, but anyhow. This is kind of a middle line here. Right about there. So that could be a resistance line. That's exactly where I have the target. All right. That's exactly where I have to take profit. So that's good to know. Otherwise, you can see that basically we've corrected all the way from the top of the channel back to the bottom of the channel. We bounced, hooked back, and this could be again a bouncing area. In any case, if it's not a bouncing area, then the risk is extremely small and a decent reward. I could even be more aggressive in the target, in fact, and aim for maybe 106 or maybe even 107. But then, you know, the target is you know, the R2R is better, but the disadvantage is that the trade is going to really take longer to materialize. And the likelihood of it hitting target is also a bit lower, right? Because we identified those huge weekly resistance. So that's up to you. I mean, definitely this top could be in the cards as well. That would give an additional 100 pips and make probably the reward side versus the risk more like a 5.5 to 1. So that's always appealing. I'll go a bit for a more conservative target even, and target a bit the mid zone here in this resistance level. So let's see, anything else to say? Let me take a look at more price action a bit closer. You can see clearly that yesterday was a bullish day, respected the bottom in here. So I put the stop loss basically under this low. Yeah, you could use this low as well. For me, this bullish engulfing candles is enough for me to put the stop loss right below there instead of here. I think that's sufficient respect from the market for that level to put a stop loss there. But if you're a bit leery of that, you can put it lower and either keep the same target, but then your RTR is decreasing, or increase the target as well, and then the RTR could maybe even stay the same, depending on exact parameters. But this is my preferred setup. So it depends. You know, there is some flexibility in your preferences, of course, as well, and it's always your decision anyhow. But you can see what my ultimate decision was. Now, if we zoom into the 4-hour chart, you can see, for example, in that uptrend channel, we broke out of this resistance line already. Like that. Made a pretty good up move as well. And you can see we talked about this dollar cat already earlier last week. Remember that we said that there's a likelihood of either because we made a shallow retracement here of this first move up after the break of this purple line, and we went straight to target. Either we're going to make a deep retracement here and go right to the 618, or we're going to retrace these fibs. Remember that? Look, we went right to the 786. So that's one of those reasons as well that for me, the currency is making this typical pattern. I forgot the name. I have to look it up. Where we're going to get a bounce to this minus 618 target. That's exactly where I have my take profit as well, by the way. Just below that minus 618 target, which is the ultimate target in my opinion for this trade. We could get a flag like this and a continuation, but that doesn't stop me from taking it upon the break of that flag one more time. Okay, so does anyone remember this? This pattern is up, shallow target to 272. Either here or any fibs here are the bouncy spots to the 619 target, in my opinion. Okay, looking at the fact that we are at the daily support at the bottom of the trend channel and we broke this purple correction. So if we then zoom into the 1-hour chart, we can see a break of this high. It's like a ascending wedge at the moment on the 1-hour chart. Break of that high with a stop loss below the ascending wedge. You could even put the stop loss. Intraday trader would be more aggressive and put the stop loss here or here. That's possible as well. But because I'm going for a bigger target, I want to be a bit more spacious on the stop loss. But it is an ascending wedge, or it definitely looks like one. Right in here, like this. So break. That's why I have, of course, the entry above that break, above the top of that ascending wedge for that upside continuation there. If we then zoom into the 50-minute world, by the way, maybe we broke this trend line as well, even a quite a steep correction here on the 1-hour chart, but possible as well. All right, so that's something we might have broken as well. And if we zoom into the 50-minute world, Yeah, we'll go over the pound dollar for sure. So anyone who's anxious for that, or euro dollar, we'll go through all of them. So please wait for that. No problem at all. It's coming up. I know that for some of you this might be a bit long, but I want to show you why I have this trade. So you can see here the 50-minute world in a downtrend still, so it's a bit risky there. But as soon as we break this level, you can see the price is going through the last resistance. All right, so that's also important. All right, so on lower time frames, it might seem as counter trend, but you can see that basically this could be the first turnaround, the first moment that we actually switch gears on this 50-minute world. I'll zoom in a bit there. All right, you can see already green candles here, but we're fighting against the last resistance basically. So if we push here, everything is going to change. The moving averages will switch around, and we'll be an uptrend on the 50-minute world, which most likely will affect eventually the 1-hour world, and it will be uptrend, and the 4-hour world will be uptrend. This probably is the first reversal. Let's move on to something else. Okay, we can take a look at the euro dollar. I don't think the euro and pound are that interesting to me at the moment, but let's take a look at it. What are you looking for, by the way, an ace? To me, let's take a look at the day chart here first. You can see that we're right at a 786 fib. So the currency, we stopped at the 618 as well. We stopped at the 50. We stopped at the 382. So basically, there could be still a move up to the 886. It's possible. Then again, yeah, that could be likely. But we're definitely reaching an area of major resistance, and there's always a chance that we could fall back to support, for example, on this 4-hour chart if you put a trend line like that. We'll dive into all the time frames in just a second. Alrighty. Let me use the trend indicator here for a second. Take a look what we got here. Week chart, this up move is definitely a retracement. Day chart, you can see we're above these moving averages, but the last time we were, it was only short-lived. So we're in risky territory here on this day chart. 4-hour chart, definitely uptrend, no doubt about it. We've retraced back to support. And you can see these tops in here. So anywhere around 154, around here, definitely could be a support area. It's probably a whole zone, actually, of 153.90 up to maybe 154.20ish, roughly 30ish, right about here as we bounce off this level, in fact. The AO is back to the zero line, so that could be an indication that the upside is ready again. 1-hour chart, you can see that the 1-hour chart is retracing back to a 4-hour support. The 1-hour top is around here, 154.88. And you can see the 50-minute world is in a downtrend. So a bit of a mixed picture here, but probably the thing is that the 4-hour world is always very strong time frame, and although we have reached reached levels of higher resistance on day and weekly chart, that does not necessarily mean that will kick in right now. All right, we could still make one more push up on this lower time frame, shorter time frames, and the picture on the higher time frames really doesn't change that much. So consider the fact that the 4-hour is an uptrend. I think that's very important. This 1 hour is probably retraced, just like the 15-minute world. There's one thing I wanted to add on this pound dollar. Let me just take a look at this fib. We hit the minus 272 target there. Let me take a look at this fib here. There we hit the minus 618 target, as you can see. So let's take a look at the next fib. Yeah, the 382, almost 382, missed it just by a few pips there. Yeah, so that's true. Despite the bullish looking currency, I am a bit leery and skeptical of the pound just because of the higher time frames, to be honest. It looks like to me the fact that we've made such an aggressive move on the Bank of England press conference announcement, that's more of a news event in my opinion. It is price action, but normally I would say a break at the top is very likely. Now I'm not so sure. It looks more like a three-wave move here, like this. I'm a bit skeptical of the potential of this pound to make a good break. So those are few. It's partly also the high resistance, partly a bit just gut feeling, and partly also the fact that I think better opportunities on other currencies. So it's a mixture there. Why I don't like it that much. For me, really, what I would like to see is more of a sustainable break to the upside, where we're less boxed in resistance. So that would either be preferably back to support levels, or break of the support and take it to the downside would be my preferred method. Or if we just break to 786 a bit, make a bull flag, and the next break would be good to 886. A very small trade there. Right there. Okay, there is a small space in between 786 and 886. Does everyone see that? So that is tradable. On the day chart, it seems small, but if we zoom in, it's still. Let me take a look. On the lower time frames, it amounts to 70-ish pips. Not bad. So that would be the space that I see to the upside there. Right in here. That resistance, 886, is very important. Don't underestimate that, because the pound loves 886s, right? They love those Fibonacci levels. You'll see the pound respected time in and time out again. So definitely not something you want to cast aside, especially on the pound and probably the euro as well. I think many currencies respect it, but I would say primarily this one and the euro are the main users of that, at least as far as I noticed, although I haven't looked at, for example, the pound, the euro CAD, and checked if they use 886 maybe as well, but the pound definitely. So that could be a space there. Before we break that top at around 157.50, everything is a bit leery in a way. There's now currently there's still 100 pips up to there. So let me take a look at quickly for you at London Open. Let's see. The Asian session high is here. So that would be a resistance level right there for upside. Downside is really something I wouldn't be interested in as yet, because we're too much of an uptrend there still on the 4-hour chart. Upside, I would be still very skeptical, at least until this level here, 153.30, 153.20, just because of the fact that we could have this potential head and shoulders here. A break above it, for example, a sustainable break where we break 2 hours above it and stay 2 hours above it, there could be a small trade to the next resistance level at this top. And then, as I said, the next trade would be the 65, 70 pips to day 86. So those are the spaces I see on the pound dollar to the upside. Downside, I'm not interested, as I said, until we make more down movement and then a bear flag, and then maybe the next break I'll take to the downside. All right, so right in here, it's kind of a no man's zone, in my opinion. So you can see where I have the red, green, and blue circles indicating that. All right, I hope that makes sense. Euro is kind of the same in a way because we're boxed in at major range in a way. We have this 134.20 area, 134.15 price level. That's just a major top. We couldn't break it. We respected it on Friday and saw downside price action for the last hours on Friday. So if you look at that, it's just showing the headache the currency has with breaking that zone. And the upside, ever since basically mid-July, has been slow and tedious. We've had a month of awkward price action where the currency only moved up like 350 pips in a month. Very slowish. It did have an upside angle, so there was an uptrend on the 4-hour chart, but very weak in a way. And if you put it in a channel, we could be right at the bottom of the channel, for example, like this. But the angle of the channel is very weak. You can see that most recently we broke out of this more steeper rising wedge pattern. Rising wedges, of course, are not buying signs. They're reversal signs. All right, be aware of that. Rising wedges, falling wedges are not continuation to the downside, but reversal signs. And you can see that after this rising wedge was broken, we had a fall, as the pattern suggests. These patterns are not 100%. They're always probabilities. Sometimes rising wedges do break to the upside. That's why it's also good to keep an eye on the top of the rising wedge. If it were to break that line, maybe the currency is actually showing that it's breaking impulsively to the opposite side. This one did break to the downside and moved back to the bottom of that channel. All right, so this could be some potential support. We did break out of this downtrend channel here. Then again, the upside has been quite slowish so far. So the tops probably very important here on the euro dollar, because if it makes this kind of bear flag pattern, it could continue breaking. It would break the bottom of the trend channel. If it breaks the top, maybe this downside was just a retracement back to the, as I said, back to the bottom of the trend channel, and at the trend channel we're getting a bounce. So if anything, the euro maybe could have a potential right in here. It's kind of like the dollar CAD trade in a way, where you try to catch it at the bottom of the trend channel. And the difference with the dollar CAD and the euro dollar is the trend channel itself. The dollar CAD has a very nice trend channel. The euro dollar built, on the day chart. The euro dollar is more like a 4-hour trend channel with a weak angle. So the trend channel is less appealing to me, but it could be in theory possible. If we do break this purple line, then it seems like we're going to fall further, and downside to at least the support level at 133.20 seems imminent. 132, I should say, sorry. We'll have to see how price responds to that level to judge how impulsive this downside is. Is it going to drop like this, hook back to the broken bottom and fall like that, for example? Or do we get more of a slowish break? And this level still provides support for one more bounce. Who knows? Because of that major resistance, I wouldn't be surprised to see a break to the downside. I'm a bit more bearish still. Like last week, my buy is more of a personal bias, but I'll stick to the facts. I'll stick to the lines in a way, and just see which one of the two happens. A break of that 132, 133.20, or that purple trend line. In theory, both trades should be interesting here on the euro, I would say. The euro is a bit easier to read than the pound, just because the pound has that wacky, massive up day, which makes it tricky to read, which makes the downside more risky, in my opinion. And the upside has the same situation. 15-minute world is in a downtrend, so let's see if this breaks the top line, breaks, hooks back to support. That could be a good buy right in here, right above the broken resistance. Broken resistance becomes support in the future. That could be a good buy on the euro dollar. So we can keep an eye on this one. Definitely, I think the euro dollar makes sense. We can keep an eye on which one of the two we get here during our session, if anything. Any questions on the euro dollar? Remember, folks, there's no rush in the Forex market. We have plenty of time to plan our trade and to catch it at our moment. All right, there's tons of time for the currency to break, pull back, go sideways. One of the things that beginner traders and intermediate traders do is just see something that might happen and then anticipate that and jump in. Usually speaking, there's enough opportunity to plan a trade and think ahead where the best R2R is, what kind of confirmations we want to see. Sure thing. We'll take a look at the 1 hour chart. Sorry about that. Sometimes I do switch maybe a bit fast there between all these time frames, I can imagine. So the 1 hour chart, you can see it's kind of below the moving averages. So any move up is going to find that resistance. It's going to in a way, the fact that the price is below those moving averages, it means either it's at a substantial retracement point or it's at a reversal spot. That's why both breaks could be interesting. I'm not a big fan, as you know, of anticipating a move to both sides. I usually like to stalk and sniper one side of the story, because I often notice that if I try to focus on both sides, sometimes I miss the whole move. So I'm more a fan of really like focusing on one side. One side of the story is what I want to catch. But because in this particular situations, I'm a bit more flexible because of that 1 hour world. So let's see how that pans out. Daniel's asking what my 3 pink parallel lines I have on the chart. Oh, that's a resistance band used for this. It's a special trend indicator, in fact. So that's a very neat indication of what the trend is on that particular time frame. It depends if you're an intraday trader, if you're a swing trader. Swing traders might use 4 hour charts for their trend. Intraday traders would probably more use this 1 hour chart to indicate, to have a clue of the trend. So let's see what happens with this 133.20-ish level and the 132.80-ish bottom here. We're approaching actually 132.90, breaking this 15-minute bottom here. As we speak, let me go quickly to normal price action so we can take a look at that as well. Let's see. You can see we're already breaking this smaller correction. Kind of looks like a wedge that's been breaking to the downside. Pretty interesting. We see how pound is doing as well. Pound is also moving to the downside. This is a wacky 50-minute chart, just because, as I said, because of that tremendous upside. It's just quite difficult to trade because of that. I'll be really leery. Any move up, you could see something like this on the pound easily. You could look at all the spikes up and down, and definitely want to be above resistance for longs. And you can see that we're getting some rejection anyhow to the downside. We're seeing some dollar strength, which doesn't surprise me. So at the moment, the currency has moved 28 pips and almost one move down. So if we get some hook back to the broken wedge, I think that could be maybe a good short either there or upon the continuation of the hook back. One of the two. Even an entry right here, wouldn't it be bad maybe? But I would say, let me take a look at the trend channel on the 4-hour chart. You see the danger of that is the fact that we're still just a bit above this bigger 4-hour trend channel. So in that regard, the continuation is the most safe. Up a turnaround here, and then the next break would be in a way, if you look at it, it would be the break, pull back here. The next break would be the continuation trade on the smaller time frame, but it would be the break on the higher time frame. The continuation of the smaller time frame would equal the break of the 4-hour world, right? So the latter trade here where I have the green box is probably the safest, but an early anticipation of that break at the pink P is possible. Could be a small risk there and a bigger risk on the pink C and the blue B. So those are scale-in possibilities. Make sure though that the entire trade stays within the risk management parameters of your risk management plan. All right, but this dollar strength doesn't surprise me. It looked like dollar strength was set up. Maybe the dollar CAD is moving, not that much yet. It is moving up. It is approaching entry there. So let's see. Looks like we're breaking through that 4-hour trend line as we speak. I wouldn't want to touch it here because this has already moved 30 pips. Would rather see a bit of a pullback, personally. I guess the only entry would have been upon the break of the wedge, but we were very close to the 4-hour trend line, as I said. That happened a bit earlier. That's a trade I wouldn't like to take just because of the sizes that I have on my chart. Now you might see differently, but if I use a trend channel, if I have it on my chart, I want to use it. And then in this case, this space, this box is a bit small for the reward, as you can see. The likelihood of a bounce is too big, and I'd rather take it at a later spot at a maybe better price or at least a better time zone. All right, so let's see how that goes. We'll keep an eye on the euro dollar as well. Is there anything else? We'll take a look at some other currencies now. Let's see. Aussie dollar was also on my list. That too looks ready for downside continuation, although it made a very aggressive upside move last week. By the way, the euro dollar is finding some 1 minute rejection here, 1 minute pin bar. It is finding some upside, as I was kind of worried about. Let's see if that indeed gives us the hook back to the broken wedge. In the meantime, I'm going to take a look to find this Aussie dollar right in here. Aussie dollar. You can see the up move last week was steep and aggressive. Some of you know, of course, that, or you should know that the interest rate, in fact, was cut to 2.5%, and that's exactly when the currency went up. Quite funny, but I heard others say that that had to do maybe with the Chinese data being quite positive. Something that is for you to judge. I don't know, but I've heard that. In any case, from a technical point of view, the upside could be a zigzag correction, maybe. For example, doesn't really matter what it is. In any case, it's back to this 193 resistance level. You know, so that's a level that won't break easily. It's a major day resistance level. Okay, and those levels are very important to be aware of. Never ever anticipate a break of a daily top like that, daily resistance level like that. Never anticipate that. Okay, doesn't make sense to a short just before that. Right? You can of course go long. Excuse me. You can go short. Long before that. You could go long if you have enough space to it, compared to your reward, and if you're in an uptrend already on the 4-hour chart, maybe, for example, but otherwise it's too dangerous. 4-hour chart, even the 4-hour chart, you know, it's questionable. I would not say it's an uptrend. It's more of a fast correction, in my opinion, where we broke the 4-hour support we have in here. That level there, it's broken. That is an indication of the first lower high here. We also broke below this steep trend line. It is steep, so maybe that's not that valuable that we broke below it, but still, you get the point. There could be even some trend line here as a resistance spot. So either a cheeky short if it does look back to that trend line here. It is risky because it could break for more downside, for upside, but it is a great reward to risk up in there, or a break of this 4-hour fracture right in here. In fact, that's a bigger stop loss. The target would have to justify that, and there is the potential for the Aussie to fall. So that target could be justified, could justify that risk in this area as well, in fact. So let's zoom in, see if we can maybe pinpoint a better reversal area. Yesterday was quite a bearish day on the Aussie. $50-minute world already in a downtrend there. Kind of like a downtrend channel. You see that on the 50-minute world. And these channels can play out pretty long and move like this, and maybe even expand the channel with a more angle if it gets aggressive and impulsive. So a trend line like that could indicate the continuation of that channel and it could indicate that this 5-minute world move up is just a retracement of the 50-minute channel to the downside. We've zoomed into quite low time frames here, but yeah, I like to look at multiple time frames, as you noticed. So that's why. So let's see if we can get that break right in here. Of all these currencies, as you notice, I like the dollar CAD the most. That's why I have the entry order there. To me, if it's the Aussie or the CAD or the Euro, it's basically all, quite similar in a way. Similar positions. So it's really up to you. We can take a look at the crosses to see, we can compare Euro, CAD, and the Aussie with each other to see which the most potential. For me, the could be as well. One read the CAD than Euro, and so let's see the Euro. Seems to be in a downtrend at the moment, actually, although potential support close by. So it's a bit tricky to look at all those crosses, of course, and analyze which one's the best. But it all boils down to potential dollar strength and I think CAD weakness. So let's see if that proves to be true. Which of the three, Euro, CAD, or Aussie, will be the strongest and weakest? An entry, if for example, could be right in here upon the break of this 50-minute support. Preferably, it would be nice to get a bounce right in here and then a break, because then the stop loss could be something like this, and the risk right in here is very small. That would be nice. It's basically quite a big stop loss at the moment if we break this fractal, right, for a 15-5-minute world. But if we bounce here, make a new fractal here, and at the bottom, you can see that the risk here would be extremely reduced. So, you're thinking of, depending on where it bounces in here, if it's at the 50 fib of this down move here, it could be as low as 15, 13 pips, I think, quickly calculated. So that's something I'll be waiting for. Bounce here, and then continuation. I'm sorry for those swing traders that were zooming in to lower time frames there. Hope you don't mind that much. We can take a look at the Euro Dollar. I just want to take a quick look at this view as well. Just give me 1 second. Let me take a look at where the Camarilla indicator is here. It's indicating an H3 short at 133.09. And the H4 long breakout is above 133.27. L4 breakout even below 132.55. That's really a while from here. In fact, interesting. Let's take a quick look at this one to indicate the Elliott Wave at the moment. You can see at the 5-minute world here that all these indicators are grouped at the bottom. So it looks like we're, as I said, this move down is not going to break and go for another 100 pips without any retrace. Right? Before entering, it's always wise to look for a small retracement, because the market moves always in waves. All right, so before entering, letting it center is always a good idea. All right, and you can see that we reached an oversold here. I didn't even have to look at the indicator because I know the 5-minute world so well that I know if it moves 30 pips in one go, it's not going to break like that without popping up a bit. but this indicator definitely confirming that. Let's take a look at the fib indicator right in here, fib confluence. See, there could be a potential bounce here because we're at potential fib support. So let's see if we can break those levels. And even the 4-hour world, as you can see, already turning red here. Question is if it's a dip like this or if it's a reversal like that. So that's something we'll have to find out. We have to use technical analysis for that and use our trend lines to determine that. So let me go back to the classical view here. You can see also in the right upper corner right in here, everything is red already regarding the oscillators except the EMA on the day chart and the 1-minute chart. So daily average has been 63 pips. So let me go back and continue that on the euro dollar quickly. We've looked at the Aussie, I think, already. Once again, the question is here. You see we got that bounce here, a big wick. Question is, will we see that reversal here or not? So that'll be interesting. We can wait for price action signal, one method, take a cheeky pullback right in there, or wait for the continuation. Personally, because of the 4-hour trend line, I think definitely safer is to wait for the continuation. Right? Because we have to realize that really this 4-hour trend line hasn't been broken yet. So it is very risky to assume continuation. All right, so you can see even though I have a bias for dollar strength, it doesn't bias me to take the trade anywhere. All right, that's something that will take time. Years ago, I was more taking the anticipation trade. I'm really waiting for more confirmation now. Alrighty. We just quickly move on. Any preference you have, by the way? I don't want to steal the show here and keep at it with my the currencies I find interesting, but I found the Aussie and the CAD quite interesting, the Euro CAD as well, by the way. I think the Euro CAD, similar to the dollar CAD in a way, the analysis is the same. Here too, we're, I think, back at support. Here too, I think if we break basically above this resistance level, that we could be making that upside, and I think we have a pretty good space here to move to the upside with the trend. So Euro CAD upside, dollar CAD upside. What else did I say? Odd dollar downside. I don't see my odd dollar somehow anymore. Oh, there it is. What else? The Euro odd, by the way, as well. Let me take everything off. The Euro odd 2 could be at back at support, because if you look at the day chart, for example, you can see this trend line here. You can see these stops right in there. Can provide support. Now on the 4-hour chart, of course, yes, we are making a downtrend at the moment, right? If you connect the tops like this, you can clearly see that we're in this downtrend channel. So the question is, will this daily support provide enough assistance for the rod to move to the upside? Okay, so that's a bit of a question. You can see the channel in black, and I'll make the daily support dark green. And the red is the daily support. I'll make that a different color. Red is not that logical for support, in fact. I'll make that light green. So you can see here the interesting spot the euro odd is. So for me, if I then zoom into the 1 hour chart, to me a break above this 4 hour fractal would indicate a high likelihood of continuation. Right? We might stall a bit at this trend line, but then quickly move up. Key level is that resistance. This one I'll make red. So that's, for me, an interesting spot because why? Well, looking at the day chart, you'll see why. Massive move up. Recently also up, correction up, pretty steep correction. So maybe this up will be limited to, we don't necessarily have to break maybe this top. We could, the very, very top, we could. But because of this steep aggressive down move, we could maybe stall in here somewhere and then make one more down and then up. All right, so something, we want to be maybe a bit more realistic with the take profit there. So for me, a swing trade would be, for example, above this high, a 4 hour swing trade, stop loss below here, and a target of somewhere in this tops right in here, or a more aggressive target would be actually aiming for the 272 target at 151.80, 151.70. So let's see. Let's keep an eye on this one at the end of the our session as well. Dollar CAD. I'll take a look at dollar CAD one more time, just very quickly. I know that we looked at it already at the beginning of our session, but Kalen is asking about his entries long at 0294. That's good. Seems like that's a great entry there, Kalen. 405.90. 0590. 590. Yeah, that looks good, Kalen. Very good entry, I would say. And you know, you caught it at a turning spot. You caught it at support. The 0590 is a good target. It's aiming for just below that major resistance level at 106. Makes a lot of sense. That's a good 300 pipper. And I don't know if you caught the beginning of our session. We talked about the CAD very extensively, by the way. Not sure if you were here, but indeed I have an entry order at 103.20, aiming for 104.90. So it's like a 3.5 to 1. But I did say that if you want to be more aggressive in your R2Rs, you could definitely go for the 105.90. That will give you an extra 2 units probably for 5.5 to 1. So I'm going a bit for a more conservative target because I want to have my target before this minus 618. I probably will see this, I think. So I'd rather take my profit at the 618 target and then maybe re-enter with the next bear flag break right in here. But otherwise, the target makes sense to me. I'm just going for a bit more conservative target. That's all. Small difference there. I think I entered already. Yeah, I'm in that trade as well. So I joined you, Kalen, there, just a few pips higher. Doesn't really matter with the target that big, right? So that looks good to me. I'm in that trade as well. Pound Swissy, I wanted to show you because it's breaking out of this massive channel here. Really a funny currency. It's funny just because it looks so strange. Let me get rid of this. So you can see here, very massive down channel on the day chart, and broken out of that resistance line already a long time ago. And then we had the sideways box. Remember that? These blue lines. Let me make them a bit. Let me make them dark green. So we had we're stuck in that area for quite a long time. And the funny thing is, we're breaking back in that zone. You know, it was really at an interesting spot right here because we had the sideways zone, we had a trend line support level that was broken or respected and broken. We had a downtrend channel that eventually saw this push through with a lot of pain and agony, and we went all the way back from the bottom of the trend channel up to the top, respected it a bit, then now continuing. So, you know, there could be a counter trend move back to the upside here, back to the tops right in there. Quite interesting. Seems to be like a channel here going on. So let's see if we can break out of that channel. If we can break out of that channel more aggressively, then we'll probably go to the top of that range. If we stay in that channel, then we'll probably hit this trend line, then move maybe back towards the bottom and keep doing that. We'll have to see how price responds to that channel. Okay, not my favorite currency. It's just more of pure interest. Not something I really want to trade myself. The Euro odd and dollar CAD and the odd dollar, they look, and the Euro CAD, they look better, more interesting to me personally. But this is more just for fun because it looks so wacky. So that's why. All right. Now, if any of these concepts, you know, because I use primarily fibs, support and resistance, moving averages, multiple time frame analysis, candlesticks, price action, chart patterns, oscillator, divergence, breakouts for trading. But not everyone, you know, everyone trades differently. You might be using, I don't know, whatever, a stochastic. That's anyhow similar approximately to oscillator, you know. Marginal differences there. Although I find, as you know, the oscillator more useful for fibbing, placing fibs and Elliott Wave, but so that's why I use that one. All right, but if you have any questions, let me know, okay? That's the point. So you can see the trade setups that I have in mind. We can take a look at the Euro New Zealand indeed. Kaylin is asking about that. It's looking more like, if anything, it looks like some type of ascending wedge maybe. Or it's triple top. It's also possible. We do have triple top in here. But we also have a line connecting the bottoms with an upside angle, which does indicate a typical pattern of the ascending wedge. So here too, actually, I didn't look at, I looked at the Euro New Zealand. The Euro odd looked better because it's in an uptrend, but in fact, the Euro New Zealand here too at a bouncing spot. Does everyone see that? ascending wedge. Now realize that learning chart patterns takes time. You really have to look at the charts a lot. You have to see many of these. All right, so it's good to practice. It's good to go back into the past and look for ascending wedges. If you don't recognize it, try to find 100 of them. That will help with the pattern recognition. So Euro New Zealand back at support, but if it breaks that support, then the upside is becoming questionable, and there's still a major support level at 164. But otherwise, it will get bearish. All right. As long as we stay above that green line, it's more bullish. Therefore, Kaylin, your idea about long at 64.90, that's in fact below the support. That's here. We would be breaking that green trend line here, and that wouldn't be something I would be interested in personally because of that. Okay, I don't want to go long upon the break of the bottom of the ascending wedge. If the entry would be just above it, if, for example, that would make more sense to me if we were to hook back here and bounce, an entry somewhere in here, or at the bounce, which is more risky, makes more sense than below the break of the 4-hour support. Do you see what I mean? Does everyone see what I mean? It depends if you use chart patterns or not, but if you do, then okay, great, Kaylin, and okay, good job. So, but similar situation here as the Euro odd. It's just that the Euro odd was in an ever more flowing uptrend. If you look at the 4-hour chart and day chart. Day chart is primarily, of course, the 4-hour is making lower lows and lower highs. That is why I want to see a break of 146.08, because a break of 146.08 on the 4-hour chart means that per definition we have somewhere in here a higher high, don't we? We have it, and probably most likely a higher low. That's why I'm always waiting for. Basically, I use this on all time frames. I mean, I want to see a trend. I don't define the trend on a 50-minute chart, of course, but I want to see a trend, and then the pullback, right? So, for example, here you have a trend, right? Let me draw a schematic. Let me draw a schematic there. Trend. This, but when the currency is moving down, the fib would mean that we'd take the entry somewhere in here, right? But we don't know if that's a turning spot because it could still continue more down. But once we have a bounce and make a higher high and higher low, or especially a higher high, that's the first sign that we're back at the, confirming this channel, first of all, and making higher highs and higher lows on the lower time frame, and turning on the lower time frame back to that trend on the higher time frame. So it's like the first confirmation there. Okay, I hope that makes sense. Okay. Does everyone hear me? Okay. I heard some background sound here. Okay, good, thanks. Everyone hears me. Okay, good. Great. Alrighty. Let's see. So quite similar there regarding Euro New Zealand Euro. Odd pound odd also, by the way. Thing is that these currencies kind of reflect each other. So one advantage of the pound odd, by the way, I should mention, and it's good to mention, is the fact that the euro pound has moved quite a lot. And that's always good to, when you have currencies pairs that are in similar situations, to look then at the difference. We have euro odd and pound odd. What is the difference? The euro and pound. So if we then look, of course, at the euro pound, logically, then we see, first of all, a bunch of chop, but primarily also, yeah, that's difficult, because if you look at the day chart, we're back at actually this daily support, but if you look at the 4-hour chart, you can see definitely that it moved down a lot. So maybe it's difficult to judge what's going to happen here at this spot. Pick your choice, I would say, but the 4-hour did move down a lot. Then again, if you look at this chart, then you know, there would be reason to believe that we could be back at support. So I'm on the sidelines personally with the euro pound. I'm not touching it for the moment. All right. So that doesn't help much with the euro pound and odd pound, but basically both of them are quite similar. Both are in a way back to those support levels. The question is if we're going to actually bounce off them. Actually, the pound odd made already a higher high here on the 4-hour chart. So that could be good to go. It's making a triangle in here. In fact, probably a break of that triangle, I would probably like the trade. The only thing is that we have a pound announcement, so that's risky. Just like the euro, by the way. But from a technical point of view, a break of this triangle to the upside would be good, I think. All right, because you can clearly see that we are bouncing off the support on the daily support, just like the euro odd. But the difference is here that the pound odd made already a higher high on the 4-hour chart and is making a pause. So we bounced off here, right? Let me recap it. Bounce off support on the high time frame, higher high on the 4-hour time frame, making a bull flag on the lower time frame. So there are a lot of things here indicating a potential of upside. So yeah, just the news announcement. So I have to wait for that news announcement. It's getting too close now, 30 minutes from now. But once that subsides and passes away, and we still have this bull flag left, that would be, I think, a good break. Now, of course, the pity could be that the news event could break it. Then one way of catching it maybe is waiting for the news event to break, waiting for a retracement, and then the next bounce here. All right? That would be the alternative. So let's see. Looks good though. Looks good for upside, just like the euro odd. Probably even better than the euro odd, but let me take a look at how the dollar CAD is doing. I'm in that trade. Now you notice that you might be wondering, you know, I'm in the dollar CAD. Which other currencies would I consider to take? I definitely don't want to overtrade, as you notice. I know I have multiple currencies here that I could choose from. I'm not going to take all of them. Personally, I don't think it makes sense unless you divide all the risk up into small bits. But I'm already in the dollar CAD, so I'm not going to jump around. But maybe this pound odd could be interesting, or the euro odd, because it's kind of a different mix than the dollar CAD. I wouldn't take the euro CAD. I wouldn't take the euro pound and the odd pound personally. As I said, unless you split the risk. Looking at the current situation, I think the pound odd actually looks better than the euro odd in a way. Nor would I take necessarily all 4, pound odd, euro New Zealand, pound New Zealand, you know. So probably, if anything, I'll add maybe a position to the pound odd, but I'll probably just wait for the news event. So that you know my opinion on that. Let's take a look at the euro dollar, by the way, quickly. What's happening here? Let's see. Yeah, we moved up to that resistance line. Bounce off that. So let's see, it's going to be an interesting spot. Made the down move, hook back to the broken wedge, expected that we'll probably bounce up from here as well. Maybe make a wedge in here and then break. You see the AO is retracing to the zero line. It hasn't reached the zero line yet. Okay, so let's see. It could bounce up and down here. Of course, the Euro also has a news event. Let's see. I think that's an hour from now. But you can see that the bottom respected here the bottom of the trend channel. So a break of that bottom would indicate also a break of the trend channel. Now, a break of a 4-hour channel is more tricky to trade than a break of a 15 or 1-hour trend line, because the line is less accurate. You can imagine if you look at this 4-hour chart, the accuracy of that line is less. There could be the line. Who says the line could be like this? The green one, for example. So 4-hour charts are always a little bit less accurate with the trend lines. It's more a rough region than a very precise line. And the smaller the time frame and the smaller the area of the trend line, the more precise the trend line is. Then again, if we do break that 50-minute fractal right in here, I do think that the likelihood of a bearish move here with you can see momentum, bull flag, continuation is high. Yeah, definitely. And these, first of all, it's also tricky to trade with August, so definitely keep that in mind. If anything, you want to protect your capital in August and make sure you don't lose anything of it, because there is that risk. Let's take a look at the EJ. Darshan is asking about that. That makes sense, because we were looking at the EJ very intensively on Thursday, I think it was. I'm not sure which day. And I still have that fib on, and I was saying that, yeah, here that we were at a bouncing spot, which indeed happened. We did get a big pullback, and now continuation. It's looking to me like an A, B, C, typical for correction. And you can see that if we fib the A, where is the confluence here? At the 50 fib and 272 target, right? Very important. But also at the 618 and the minus 618. Those two levels are, in my opinion, absolute key. I think the likelihood of a bounce at those levels, both, or either both, or maybe only the lower one, because you never know if the currency will get to the 618, right, and the minus 618 target. But if they do, that would be definitely a resistance level. Otherwise, the key level will be the 50. All right, so now I'm going to take a look at those levels. The number of the 50 and the 272 is around 130, 10-ish. The 618 and the minus 618 is around 130, 50, 130, 60. Now, how do you know which of the two is going to be more important? We'll have to zoom in to lower time frames, to be honest. And I want to get rid of this fib, because otherwise it's just going to be too messy. The funny thing is that you look at price action on a 50-minute chart, you can see that the first movement, look at that. 5 waves, 3-wave correction, and a big impulse. Looking at the 50-minute world, The 618 fib seems more likely, to be honest, to me. But you never know. I think that it's not to say that this level will not be a resistance, 130. First of all, it's a psychological 130 number. Second of all, it's a 272 target and a 50 fib, and a minus 1272 target of this first move up and a 618 bounce. That will be a resistance level, but most likely what will happen is a pause here. I think we're going to make a bull flag. This will go back to the zero line. We'll get back to support levels somewhere in here, around 129.50 probably, maybe as low as 129.20, although that would be pretty deep, and then probably see one more bounce up to the 130.50. That would be my primary analysis at the moment on this EJ. Most likely bouncing spot to the upside, I would say, it could be around 129.50, as I said. Max 129.20 indeed. Between the 382 and the 50 fib. And then we'll probably see that upside to the -2 target, which is equal to this -618 target and the 618 fib. Something like that is the most likely, I think. Okay? Then we'll complete the 5-wave C. And then fall. How much will fall? That we don't know, because then we'll have to look at the longer time frame. In fact, instead of zooming in, we'll have to zoom out and see how far this can fall at the 618. It could only fall maybe to 129 and find support there, or it could fall all the way to 118. That's something the higher time frame will have to decide and tell us. But looking at the shorter time frame, you can see that there's pretty big momentum to the upside. That momentum is not going to die out, I think, immediately at the 50 and 272 target. Therefore, a bull flag is likely, and one more continuation up to get divergent is likely to finish the C wave, and then we'll bump into all those targets and the 618 fib. 618 fib is anyhow a major, level because it's the golden ratio, right? So, and then we'll see the fall. Now, how much will we fall? Let's zoom out again. That depends. Got a lot of stuff on this chart. The conservative target is always, of course, just the bottom at 128.50. All right, so we identified on the lower time frames this resistance, move down, and most likely up. Then resistance. And the most likely move down is maybe a few waves down to test this bottom. All right, so that seems the path of least resistance. Now, if we break that bottom, most likely not, we'll probably get a bounce up again. So, and then it's a question mark. And then who knows? Do we continue up? Do we break down? Let's see. Let me take a look at the day chart. To me, a move down maybe all the way to this 125 bottom, because if you look at it, let me take off this fib because I don't want to overcrowd the chart. Ignore all the things in here because that's our lower time frame analysis, okay? We have the blue circle. But if you look at the first red line here and the pink line, those support levels have been broken, haven't they? And we're making a lower high and a lower high here, and we're making a lower low as we speak. So if anything, and maybe we have this head and shoulders as well. If anything, it seems to me that plus if you put maybe something like this on the chart, we broke out of that green support line as well in the meantime. So it seems to me that we're breaking support. It seems to me, therefore, that in fact, if you look at this higher time frame, a fall back to the 125, or maybe all the way to the 382 fib of the entire move up. Okay, with emphasis of the entire move up. Right. So there are the spaces to the downside from 129 to 125, and then upon the break of 125 to 119. So I do think that looking at the long-term analysis, this 618 fib might be a pretty important fall for a substantial downside. It would also be a back to the broken trend line, as you can see. All right. Now, how do we catch that 618 fib? Now, so let's talk about. So we talked about the most likely movements on the short term and the long term. Now, how do we catch that turn? Because what is the best trade for a swing trader? Well, right in here, of course. Right? That is the best one. This one is not bad, but you want to move it to break even as soon as you get a bull flag, because it could make that pop up on the, you can see that short-term pressure to make that pop up. All right, so methods of catching it while waiting for a rejection 1 hour signal, a rejection 4 hour candle bar, for example. All right, or letting the currency go up, make a 1 hour low in here, right? Let the currency go down and up, make a 1 hour fractal somewhere in here. We'll see a bounce, and then take the next break of the 1 hour fractal right there with the stop loss above. That's another way of doing it. Or taking a direct entry at the fib with the stop loss above the 786, for example. Those are methods that you could think of. I personally like more of a reaction to the level and take the confirmation than the exact entry, but it is definitely an entry that a level that will not be broken much, probably not more than 15 to 30 pips, I would say. Let me take a look. Yeah, I doubt it if we go above the 131. So let's see. Now, thing is, analysis could be wrong on the short-term time frame. The problem is with the analysis on the lower time frames is that what seems like a massive impulsive move, when it reaches the resistance, could all of a sudden move faster than we think to the downside, and we're waiting for this pullback to the upside, and it never happens. That happens as well. So my backup plan, just in case this is the end here, and we do fall to 119, backup plan, and we don't get the ideal entry at the 618 that I was talking about here. The backup plan would be is that if we do get a 1 hour, we get a move down here as anticipated and a bounce, that I could have an entry, for example, below that 1 hour fractal somewhere in here, just in case we don't make it that far. I'm still in it. And if we do make it that high, then I'll look up in here. Okay, that would be the backup plan there. Let's see, up 5 pips on the dollar CAD. That's going to take some time to materialize, of course. Euro dollar is approaching that low, so if you like that break, it's about to happen. The dollar CAD break, as you know, for those of you who are following it, is on its way. It's looking good. It's moving as it's supposed to. Euro odd is still respecting that level. Let's see, pound odd is still in that bull flag that we've been talking about for those of you who've been here the entire session. And yes, it is a live account. And Aussie is, let me take a look at the Aussie dollar. $90 to 220. Maybe we could see a push up. I mean, to retest this trend line, but I wouldn't count on it until we break out of this downtrend channel on the 1 hour 15-minute world here. In fact, it looks like it's also this breaking. It looks really like dollar strength across the board at the moment, because it looks like, as I said, we're about to break this. Sorry about that. This support level, stop loss is here. Target could be this bottom, and it's a good 2-to-1 trade there. It's an intraday trade. It's actually an intraday trade, not a swing trade there. So apologies, but as I said, the bounce off this trend line would give a small hook back for a better reward, or better risk, smaller risk, right? So we could get up to 90 to 20. It doesn't look like we'll do that now, because we're in this nice trend channel, and we're actually breaking a correction here. Which would increase the likelihood of downside continuation. Let's take a quick look at the dollar yen, and then we're going to wrap it up for today. If you do have, so that will be all for the currencies today, because we looked at most of them anyhow. But if you have a question about tomorrow or something else, let me know. Tomorrow we'll be taking a look at everything, and Thursday is on intraday trades. We'll take a look at how all these trades materialize and see what we can learn from them, because it's important to learn from the evaluations, you know, and not only count the pips that have been made, but in fact evaluate what happened, what was our thought process at the time, what happened after that, and why, and you know, what were good entries. You know, this is stuff definitely that you will learn from. Okay, dollar yen, I'm a bit leery at the moment. To me, I don't know, it seems a bit iffy. We're in this pink triangle, we're in this orange, we were in this orange bull flag, but we broke it to the downside. We're back in it now. We could be at resistance because we're at these bottoms, but I wouldn't want to trade that resistance because it's in the middle of that down move, and maybe this was a bounce off the bottom of a wedge. If we make it like this, you can see if we adjust that, we're actually at the bottom of the wedge. So I wouldn't want to go short, but you know, just after bouncing off the wedge, I don't want to trade it in the middle of a wedge as well. So I'm on the sidelines on this dollar yen to be very quick and not wasting your time. Dollar CAD is dollar CAD trade, yes, it's based on the, where is it? Can't see the chart anymore. Did I delete it by accident? Ah, there it is. Sorry about that. Yeah, dollar CAD is based upon the break of the 4-hour fractal right in here, and if the stop loss below here, about 45 pips. The target is 104.88, I think. This 618. Last week we were saying that we are at the bottom of the trend channel, plus we broke out of this corrective trend line, meaning that the downside might be over, meaning that the upside might be back in play, especially considering the fact that we're at the bottom of the trend channel. And we moved up aggressively, bounced off a very shallow fib, moved to target. There were two scenarios, either a move back down to support and bounce to the 618 target, or a move deeper to one of these fibs for then a move up. So I'm just playing, instead of taking it upon the fib, I just take it upon the first 4-hour fractal, first confirmation, and that's the trade actually that we're talking about as well last week. All right, so that's about it, folks. I'll have to close it now. I'm going to talk to actually a fellow trader now that I promised to talk to. All right, so that's about it for today. We're going to wrap it up now. I'm looking forward to seeing you tomorrow. I hope you enjoyed it. As always, patience with discipline, folks. Very important, okay? But I wish you good trading today, and we'll take a look at everything tomorrow and take a review of things, okay? Have a great day. Cheers, everyone. Thanks, Okaina. Cheers.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you very much, Chris, for this wonderful presentation. My name is Mikhail Onokhov, and I would like to take a word from here. My title
Sorry about that, actually. I didn't realize that. Yeah. I didn't realize that we have an extra there. I'll note that for the next time. Okay. Thanks.
Okay, fantastic. Thank you very much, Chris. Thank you for this wonderful introduction. Thank you very much for the session. It was a pleasure to hear that. Patience is the best virtue. I will agree with you. My name is Mikhail Onokhov, and I'm a client relationship manager for Admiral Markets. And I want to talk to you about something a little bit different. Today I wanted to speak to you about something a bit of Forex. Let's take a break from charts, numbers, and currency pairs. Let's forget for a minute about Japanese candles and Fibonacci lines. Today I wanted to speak to you about something that applies to every single one of us. I wanted to speak to you about self-improvement. Self-improvement and personal growth has been a hot topic for a number of years now. And that is understandable. In this day and age, you must grow and develop yourself on a constant basis. You rely on books, you develop yourself in schools and universities, and carry on in your professional careers. Just like an investment, a price of a future is always worth more than a spot price. And in the future, you must be smarter and better equipped. You must be better than today, otherwise a future you stands no chance. All of you took time today to attend this webinar precisely for this reason, to develop yourself, to learn new things. And tomorrow, after you have watched this video, you will be a smarter than today person. But I would not advise you to stop here. You have entered a new world, a world of investment, where money is made and lost, a world that is a battlefield for the brightest minds of our generation. Some of you are just considering to enter this world right now. Some of you have taken steps in order to explore it. Some of you are living and breathing investment. To those of you who are still considering to invest or not, consider the following. Once you enter the world of investment, you will change. And you will never be the same again. You will be better. You will be better. Not only does investment give you a chance to earn, because no one can guarantee you'll win, even Chris cannot do that. But what I can promise you though, I can promise you that personally, is this. Your horizons will broaden. Forex is a demanding investment field. You will be required to follow the news, and you will be surprised how much involved in the current affairs you will become in just a few weeks. Technical and fundamental analysis will give you information in order to make a correct split-second decisions. Your analytical skills will improve. And this is a tool that will help you not only in the financial markets, but in all aspects of your everyday life. Decisiveness. This is what Forex trading is all about. It's all about decision making. A second can split a profit from a loss. It can separate winning money from losing it. And you will learn this skill. You will be the one calling the odds. You will take this skill from the financial market and you will be able to apply it to everything in your everyday life. After all, isn't life all about decisions too? You will see for yourself. And of course, it will no longer take you a few minutes to choose a meal in a restaurant or choose a coffee in Starbucks. This is how it starts. And this is just the most beginning. It will become better after that. But most important, one day you will take a loss. It will happen, even the greatest lose. And once it happens, you will learn the most important skill, self-discipline. Believe me, money is the great motivator, one of the best there is. And it will teach you that a profit is not a product of luck. It's a product of hard work and dedication. Those of you who invest regularly will agree with me. Investment is a trip worth taking. Mark my words. Register a real account today and make your first trade and see what happens. In a year you will be able to look at yourself and you will understand it was not just a financial affair, it was a great learning experience. Some of you will make a loss. Some of you will make big profits, as a lot of traders do. Your lecture today, by the way, is a great example of a person who makes profit constantly. But all of you, 100% of those who enter the world of investment and Forex trading will be a better person, knowledgeable, decisive, and disciplined, guaranteed. If I could buy a derivative on you, I would loan you in a heartbeat, because once you start trading, in a year or so, you will be a much more interesting person, a better version of you. So register an account. Our minimum deposit at Admiral Markets is just $10, and see how you, in the future, will be worth a lot more than today. That is something that I can promise. If you have any questions, you can always email me, find me on Skype, or just give me a call. I'm always available there for you to discuss your trading. It's been a pleasure speaking to you today. It's been a great live trading session. If you have any questions, I'll be more than willing to answer them. Do we have any questions right now? I can see that all of you decided to take your questions to an offline mode. That is great. Thank you very much for this time. I wish you a pleasant week, and I wish you the best in your trading activities. It's been Michael Wonachov. It's been a pleasure. Have a good week, guys. Bye-bye.
The organizer has ended the session, and this call will be disconnected.